Our sponsors for this episode are Harder Custom Welding. Looking for quality welding with a personal touch? Harder Custom Welding specializes in steel fabrication and repair of all kinds. From fencing and livestock systems to custom lawn and garden decor, they bring craftsmanship and experience to every job. No job is too small. From simple fixes to complex builds, they're here to help. Based out of Newton, Kansas, mobile welding services are available to meet a wide range of needs. You can give them a call at 316-217-3819 to bring your project to life. Also, visit them on Facebook at Harder Custom Welding, Harder Custom Welding. Shamrock Car Wash. Shamrock Car Wash has 3 convenient locations in Newton, Wichita, and Mays. They were also voted Best Car Wash in Harvey County for 2024. Shamrock Car Wash offers your traditional hands-on wash bays, but also touts an in-bay touch-free wash and dry for an effortless clean. Make sure to look them up and follow them on Facebook at Shamrock Car Wash. That's Shamrock Car Wash, or you can visit them online at theshamrockcarwash.com. That's theshamrockcarwash.com. The Newton Kansan is Newton's longest-running local newspaper covering all the stories, people, places, and things happening in our community. Chad Fry, the Kansan guy, editor of the Kansan, works diligently to ensure integrity, accuracy, and unbiased news is delivered to your doorstep 3 times a week for an unbeatable price. You can also sign up for online-only access for around $7 a month. That's 12 online papers a month for only $7. If you've not subscribed, it's time you do. Visit them in their office at 517 North Main Street. That's 517 North Main Street in Newton. Online at thekansan.com. That's thekansan.com. Or give them a call at 316-283-1500. That's 316-283-1500. Support local journalism, support the Kansan. Well, hello, everybody, and hello, Andy and Chad. How was your guys' week 2 weeks this week's?
It's been a wild ride for 2 weeks, man.
Wait a second. Where's Andy?
He can't be here today, right?
Andy is with us in spirit, as you can see.
Yeah,
he's busy today.
He's off earning the Benjamins right now.
Yes. What was it? And of course, last week I was tied up. Chad was blind, so we didn't do a...
Still kind of blind.
I was going to say, you got to give me something positive, uplifting. You're like, man, well, there are things. And I was like, well, you're not blind. And you're like, I'm half blind.
I'm still... Yeah, I don't know whether to wear my glasses or not. That's kind of the spot that I'm in because everything is all off balance and out of kilwilters and whatever else. But, I did something for the very first time in my life. I did something this week that I thought I would never do. And that's to drive without corrective lenses.
So it worked. Chad had eye
halfway home. Got final check on one eye coming up, I think, like Monday morning, first thing in the morning. I'm going to be driving to Wichita in the absolute worst time to drive to Wichita, but, you got to take what you can get. And then hopefully we'll find out then how soon we can get scheduled for the other eye to have some surgery done on it. And then this, like, I don't know, biker look, I guess.
Yeah.
This will become my new normal, I think. So I'll probably still have something to read with or whatever, but...
Just crazy. I mean, what they can do with that. I mean, they just... You have a real difficult time seeing, then after time, they can just do an operation. Next thing you know, you don't even wear glasses anymore.
Well, as long as your problem comes from cataracts, they can fix that. Yeah. So, and that's what's going on. So we'll get through that.
Yeah. So then eventually the other one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm hoping soon because this... So, as I sit here, I'm, I really can't see hardly anything out of the left side.
Yeah.
So,
well, looking at
if I do this and look at Lance, I can't see you, man. Yeah. But
and I gotta say, just looking you square in the face, the right eye, or the one that's in the left of the camera, is the one that got worked on.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, you can almost tell just by looking at you.
So, I'm still doing like a dozen eye drops every day. So.
Okay.
That's why we're probably a little bit red, maybe even a little weepy, but,
Well, the other one is the one.
I got another, 2 weeks of eye drops in there, and then take a break and start again on the other side.
So Chad's seeing life like a brand new baby.
I wouldn't go that far. I'm way too jaded to be a baby. So.
Oh, you mean just, physically, not internally, right? I love it. Okay, so just for people to know, recently I did a few interviews with CCRT, LA, now the Community Crisis Response Team. We also had two individuals on here, Brittany and Tara, who just talked about their life and recovery and the Waymakers program, which is a part of CCRT. About how much it helped, and that what we're doing is just trying to get people's stories out there, and many times it's something that might not be as talked about in public as what maybe it needs to be, similar to mental health or things that people really struggle with, and we've got a few more of those coming. Tons of people have reached out to me to talk about those interviews and how impactful they were, and how we need to get rid of the stigma surrounding this kind of stuff, mental health, addiction, recovery, and really open up the conversation and how we help people and give them the resources available, because I truly believe many people want to change, but even like we did talk about, Tara and Brittany, during that interview, it becomes more and more difficult the farther down your addiction that you happen to go. So interestingly enough, I was really surprised at the amount of people that reached out that I talked to that wanted me to cover alcoholism, Chad.
Booze, yeah.
And so one of the common themes with that is that, of course, when we deal with addiction, we're dealing with things that are oftentimes illegal in nature. But alcohol is not illegal, right? You can go in anywhere. So for somebody,
it's not illegal for you if you're over the age of 21.
Yeah. Which
so all my community corrections kids. Well, it's still illegal for you.
Yeah, and I wanted to pick your brain about that, Chad, because it was amazing. I would have to say that 80% of the people that I talked to, I asked them the same question. What would you have considered your gateway, right? What was it that what substance did you first use? And I was thinking that people would say marijuana, but because, oftentimes marijuana is a gateway drug. We hear it all the time. It's a gateway drug, right? But for many of them, it was alcohol. And then not only that, but I'm going to say 99.9% of the time, if that was the first consumption that they took, which would be considered illegal because of their age, that their family had people that struggled with alcohol and alcoholism, and then that became a part of their identity, then became the gateway, right? We drink, right? And then to see that as an example in their life and that being okay, they went down that path. And then what took place is soon to follow, and not in all cases, obviously, and probably in a small percentage of cases. I haven't done the stats on that. But I was just amazed at the amount of people that first endeavored with drinking alcohol. So then from there, interestingly enough, the conversations that we had, not to monologue here, but just trying to bring this full swing with everybody that's watching the program and listening, and what you can expect coming up in this series that we're doing, is that there's a big difference between being somebody that can have a drink socially, and then being your identity. Right. That was the key, right? When alcohol becomes your identity, all you do, all you're about, it's beer, it's drink, it's whatever the case may be, then in the end, what happens is that's a slippery slope to being, sadly, I'm going to call it, developing a substance use disorder, because that's all you can see. Everything you see is through the lens of beer. Everything is beer. Everything's got to be about beer, et cetera, et cetera.
Or wild turkey.
Well, that's the whole thing.
That was my first drink. That was your
wow. Yeah. I mean, that's enough to get you not to drink for the rest of your life, Chad.
I don't know. I sure enjoyed the way it warmed me up on those winter mornings.
Yeah.
Just a quick nip out of the bottle in the basement.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing. For the amount of people that struggle with addiction, and we have talked about, and these people that have come on the program have talked about what we would consider, like these harder drugs, which I think is foreign to a lot of people because, of course, they've never done that, right? But speaking truth, when we get down to the brass tacks, the gateway, what people first participate in and consume, generally speaking, alcohol. So if you have a substance use disorder, then it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be one substance or the other. It's substance in general. So it's just a slippery slope. And I'm not anti-alcohol. Don't get me wrong.
But I fully expect that to change.
You think there's going to become more awareness about alcohol and alcoholism?
No, I think that the entry point is changing. And the reason I think it is because of what I see coming from our middle schools. And it would be real easy to sit here and say it's going to be marijuana, but it's actually not. It's marijuana, but it's not marijuana.
It's a prescription medication.
It's THC.
Okay.
It's that vape with THC. I think that's the new, going to become over time, the new quote unquote gateway, first drug try.
Well, and I gotta say, I'm just, from my own personal experience and from what, granted, I would love to do a little bit of research on this, just in-house research, right? Because as these calls came and these people were talking with me, it was just very eye-opening, to say the least. When I started asking directed questions, what was the first substance that you consumed, which would be, well, alcohol is not illegal, but it was illegal when I started consuming it. And
Correct.
It was almost like those two ran hand in hand.
Right.
I mean, I would say that very, very many people who struggle with substance use disorder, or kids, for instance, instead of it being marijuana, it might have been just drinking because it's so readily available. And so many people have it in their home.
Sure.
And it's not illegal, so you don't have to go, out and find it and risk being caught. It's as simple as an open liquor cabinet at the folks' house, right?
Or it's the bottle of wild turkey your dad brought back from Mexico when he was in his 20s. Was sitting on the top shelf of the basement shelves, just right outside the shower. And this was a bottle so flippin' old that it was done with a cork, just to give you an idea. That's where it can be.
Yeah.
And you know what? I don't know if it was my mom or my dad that figured it out. I don't. I probably will never know. But one of them figured it out. One of them figured it out because the level on that bottle started to drop.
Just a little bit every day.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
And before I knew what was going on, the bottle was gone. My supply is gone. And I wasn't a drop dead drunk or anything like that, but I was in middle school and I didn't belong taking a snort off of a wild turkey bottle before school in the morning.
Well, geez, now it's really coming out with Chad, right?
Sure.
And you came from a very conservative home too.
Well, and if you want to, really start drilling down onto it, I think there's another substance we need to be asking about. Okay, and straight up, the Communities That Care survey is going to be deployed in our schools within the next few weeks. I just got the email about opting my sophomore into it. I haven't decided if I will or not. But if he takes it, he takes it, right? But there's another substance that nobody asks or talks about. And straight up, if you want to talk gateways, when I got to college, that's when I started getting into substance. And we're talking initially alcohol. For most of the world, they would say that was my gateway. And then when I transferred to another little Mennonite college, it was marijuana, and we'd go down to Wichita to get it, and yada, 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 yada. But no one asks about caffeine.
Oh, now you're getting into it now.
Yeah, I'm going to get into it. No one asks about caffeine. I needed a way to stay awake. coffee was free in the cafeteria at Heston. All day, every day. 24 hours. It was there. So what did Chad do to stay awake? He drank coffee.
Copious
and all
amounts of
due
coffee.
respects, all due respects to the folks at Norm's. All due respects to the folks over at Starbucks and the supporters of those two businesses.
Yeah, we're not talking trash.
Coffee sucks.
Oh, no.
It tastes horrible. You cannot tell me you're drinking that crap for
Not
the
true.
taste.
Add enough sugar and coffee creamer, boy, and you've got a wham bam. Thank you, ma'am.
No.
I tell you, okay. So just for people to understand here, we are not. I mean, I can speak for myself, and I know Chad well enough. I'm going to put some words in Chad's mouth. We're not saying anything against people drinking coffee, okay? We're not saying anything against people, consuming alcohol if they're above age and it's not an issue for that individual. They don't develop it.
If you can have a beer at supper and keep it to a minimum and still drive home and seriously, if you're not getting flipping drunk, who cares?
Yeah.
It's the you mentioned that my parents were conservatives. My view on alcohol was formed by a Hutterite colony, and you don't get much more conservative than that. So, it's.
Would it be safe to say, Chad,
all due respects to some of our city commissioners, consuming alcohol is not a sin. Ain't nothing wrong with it. It's drunkenness that's the problem.
Yeah. So, okay, would I be safe to say that, and this is kind of just where I'm at right now at this point in time, knowing I'm getting ready to go into a few interviews here that are going to include alcoholism as a substance use disorder, that it's the most overlooked, it's the most socially acceptable.
Oh, most definitely.
Doesn't that make it the most difficult?
Definitely. And I'll put I haven't been to a meeting in forever, but I'll put my DeFi hat on for a moment. That's the biggest flipping frustration. It's a massive frustration that we got parents who have absolutely no problem. Their attitude is, well, at least they're doing it in my house.
Yeah, if they're going to do it, you might as well do it. Yeah.
Okay, never mind that the number one way to prevent someone from becoming an alcoholic is to prevent their first drink until they're in their 20s. This is a researched back assertion. As long as they're doing it in my house. Okay, fine. Well, I got news for you. I'm a parent. I got 3 teenagers. They are not going to be starting their drinking career in my house. I don't want them touching that until they're in their 20s. Because I know that I got a better shot of not having to deal with a 30 or 40-year-old alcoholic in my family if I can keep them postponed.
It comes back to identity, and we'll move on past this, Chad, but it comes back to identity, right? If the identity then is one that this is all there is, be all, end all, everything is beer, right? Then by inadvertently trying to do the parenting tactic of, well, I'd rather them do it here, therefore they're safe, just solidifies more even yet their identity because it's backed up by their folks. Okay.
The younger you let them start, the harder it is to prevent them from becoming an addict.
Yeah. And we rested here, okay? And apologize, folks.
That includes coffee.
Yeah. It is, well, yes. Okay. So, as we've mentioned before, we know that people that listen to the program really want to hear about upcoming events. We said that we would try to just put 1 or 2 in that took place or going to take place that are not in the Kansan and are not on the Choose Newton website. So if you're wanting to know about upcoming events specifically in Newton, go look at the Choose Newton website. They have all the events that are taking place. You can go to the Newton Area Chamber of Commerce. You can look them up and find out about all the things that are going on there in the community when it comes to businesses, ribbon cuttings, etc. And then subscribe to the Kansan, folks. I keep harping on this. It's literally just a little more than $7 a month. You get 12 online papers. If you like to do the paper, it's not much more expensive than that. You really can't beat it. It's a great way to find accurate, credible, reliable, non-biased information. So, Chad, what is going on in the Kansan? I got some stuff I want to talk about because I got to be political all the time. But what's going on in the Kansan?
Well, I got a really fun story coming up. We usually post this on Wednesday night, Thursday morning. So I got a really fun story coming up today. And I don't know, sometimes something just grabs me and grabs my interest. And this one did. So here it is, folks. As we speak, they are finishing up the very first industrial hemp harvest in Harvey County. It was only about 70 acres. Let me tell you, walking out to that field, I'm looking at it going, wow.
Well, Harvey County would be a great place to grow hemp.
So, Kansas is a great place to grow hemp.
Yeah.
And it looks like marijuana. It's not, folks. I mean, all the stuff that makes marijuana is bred out of this. This is for, oh man, the stuff they can do.
They can do all kinds of
stuff. Did you know? Here's one for you. Well, anyway, yeah. So they had to use a machine that was imported from Lithuania, and there's a small growers association that's been created in our area, in our region. And that's who tipped me off to the fact that the first harvest for Harvey County is happening. That happened on a 5-generation farm, settled in 1872, and now you got a guy in his, I think, late 60s who is harvesting a brand new cash crop for his farm. Brand new, never been done on that farm, and not been done in Harvey County. I think that's super duper cool.
So you're gonna have something come out in the Kansan.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm glad I'm a subscriber to the Kansan because you piqued my interest with that. I mean, making history, and then I realized that farmers are placed in sometimes a very compromising situation where it's almost like you get this sweet spot and that's it. I was reading an article that came out that said something about the fact that corn has it's been such a good year for corn could be a bad thing. And I think,
well, of course, the price is going to drop.
Thing?
The price is going to go through the floor.
Yes.
Same thing happened to Rod Lowe is this farmer's name. Last year he was in organic wheat. He still has some organic wheat. I mean, he's farming something like 500 acres, and 70 of them he put into hemp. So there's other stuff going on, organic corn, organic wheat, whatever else. Last year, the price of organic wheat went from about $13 down to $8. That's pretty big. That's a pretty big drop. And
it hardly pays for your fuel, your labor.
Exactly. This is the problem with crop farming today, right? And so quite honestly, his field, and when I say his field, I'm talking his mind, was ripe for a harvest when he's approached with a contract to grow anything that's going to show a profit. And so when he's checking out this hemp thing, and just so everybody understands, it was 2019 that growing hemp for agricultural purposes became legal in the state of Kansas. Also in 2019 is when they started a permitting process, and those permits could run into the thousands and really made it difficult for people to jump in. And those that did lost their shirts, mostly because of the licensing fees. That was 2019. It was January of this year that the USDA turned around and took over and said, we're the ones that are going to be permitting. We are going to be doing all of the work for hemp in Kansas. And so the permitting fees for guys like rod here went from the thousands down to like $10-15.
I'm telling you.
And so that obviously, when presented with a contract that says we'll pay you this much, and it becomes very low risk, even though you can't get crop insurance in year one, it becomes very low risk. Of course he's going to do that. He'd be stupid not to. And honestly, I hope a whole bunch of people jump on board because, in 1942, think about this. In 1942, the Ford Motor Company received a patent for an all-plastic car. And that plastic was made from soybeans and hemp. 1942. And then somewhere along the line, we decided, no, hemp production, And now it's all tied up in our war on drugs.
Well, and you know what? I never underestimate, and this could prelude into the next thing that we're going to talk about, but never underestimate government lobbying.
Yeah.
Right? Like, for instance, we go back to the Tesla Edison, right? I mean, obviously there wasn't the way that lobbying took place today, but if I have an investment in steel, and I know that 90% of cars are made with 90% steel, and that if you figured out another way to make a car that was more efficient, less damage to the environment when it comes to recycling, whatever the case may be, and then, I don't like that because that's getting into my pocketbook, so I'm not going to do what's best for everybody. I'm not going to lose my market share. I'm going to go and I'm going to try to do everything I can to pay these government officials absorbent amount of money, so that way then they will make sure that legislation gets passed that's better for me and worse for, let's say, you, if that was you. I mean, it's so okay. So then, what did you? I went to the demolition derby. It was I
did
fun.
not.
Well, you were blind.
I wasn't feeling that great. I let my son go.
Yeah,
he had a great time.
It was packed, man. They of course we weren't on last week, but they postponed it a week,
right,
because of the weather that they were supposed to have, and I want to say they probably had a better turnout because they did that. But it's bothersome to me because when I went to the fair, and of course they had the 4-H at one point in time, and then they had the Bulls and Barrels, and I went to that too, and I always try to just, whatever's going on locally, I want to try to support that, and so then that had a decent turnout. But then it was, the fair, the carnival was somewhere in there, and then the parade was somewhere in there, and it's basically like it's just very fractured at this point in time. And I did talk to people. There was people that invited me to the Halstead Old Settlers, and I couldn't make it. Like I said on the program 2 weeks ago, it's one of the most enjoyable things there that I really love to go to that. It just didn't work out this year, which kind of stinks, but maybe next year, right? So that needs to be on my priority list of next year. But what? Okay, so I'm going to force you to move into this. Okay. I didn't get a chance to watch the Harvey County Commission, but I had multiple people reach out and ask me what the heck was going on, or at the Harvey County Commission meeting this last week. So
this
Chad,
week?
You got to tell me what.
Hopefully we've put the whole Becky Fields Opland thing to bed now, at least until she's out of office.
That's still going on.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what the executive, that's what all this, that's what people were asking
so officially
about.
Speaking, those executive sessions were for attorney-client privilege.
Oh.
But it doesn't take a rocket scientist to put one and one together and get two. Okay? So
over $200. Let's remember this. This is like $200.
Yeah, it's
right?
like between $200 and $300.
Okay. For a conference
yes,
that the Harvey County Treasurer went to, that some might think that she shouldn't have, but I also argue that maybe she should have.
To me that's not a debate that I want to get into about whether or not Becky Fields should have went to a conference in Philadelphia. And
'Cause that
at the
just gets
beginning
down
of
to opinion.
July. And
It's-
I think she's got one here in the state that she's planning to go to here in September. I gotta check my notes, but I'm pretty sure it's right here at the end of August or right at the beginning of September. And I simply do not want to get into all of the debate of that. The fact of the matter is that according to state statute, she is going to be our treasurer until the second week of October. Again, that's according to state statute. And if you don't like that, the people to call on that are Avery Anderson and Stephen Owens.
Mike King.
And Mike King, yes. And by the way, Stephen's already checking into some of this because he's looking at it, trying to figure out why it is the way it is. And kudos to you, Steve. It's a great question, and go find out.
Well, and it could be, it might be that they need it to be that way based upon
it might have something to
outgoing.
and it might have something to do with the timing of audits and some other stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
So, like I say, kudos to Steve for checking it out and seeing if this is a cross he wants to carry or needs to. But the situation we have is that our treasurer, who will no longer be treasurer now in about 6 weeks, give or take, has been going to some conferences that they're not cheap. And she's been paying for those out of the motor vehicle fund, which is not local tax funds. And
So it's not your and my tax
this
dollars.
is well,
I mean, it is, yes, because all government is taking revenue from taxes
correct,
paid.
and that's why I think it's important that we designate that it's not local tax funds. So there you go. But and it's also important because there's somewhere along the lines a similar situation, and I don't know the full detail of it all, ended up in the Kansas Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court looked at the treasurer involved and looked at the county involved and said, guess what, County Commission, you have no say here.
So it's already been decided.
This fund is to be administrated by and here's another key point, by the elected official that this fund was designated for. Because people seem to forget dealing with an elected official is different than dealing with a department head. So, for example, dealing with the clerk, elected official. And if the clerk has designated funds that are coming from the state that are designated to be dealt with by the clerk, the county commission really has no say in that. But dealing with the superintendent of road and bridge, that's a hired position. That's not an elected position.
I got to tell you, it seems like,
And so funds that are designated for road and bridge from the state, the county still has some oversight. They've got some skin in that game. But the key cog there is, love you, Jim, but you're not elected.
Yeah, and the
that's
commission
the deal.
controls that funding.
So that's where all of this has come from. She went to a conference. She requested reimbursements for per diems and hotel rooms and whatever else, and she requested those reimbursements from the motor vehicle fund, which is not a local tax fund and is funds given by the state designated for the use of the treasurer.
So the county commission doesn't have any authority or responsibility. So how does the county commission not know this? And what kind of acts does somebody want to continue to try to grind, Chad? I mean, that's my opinion. I'm sure I'll get in trouble because I had an opinion.
All I know
it's like
is
there's some acts. No, you know what?
All I know is
I want to bring something up.
Okay.
Okay.
All I know is that right at the end of July, they chose to withhold what they called an extra night in a hotel room. And they chose to withhold that when working to approve a per diem check that was for food, wasn't for the hotel. You see how messy this is getting?
Well, and
this is just getting messy.
But it's almost like
so they chose to do that. And Becky Fields chose to respond very publicly. First in an email, which was printed in the Kansan.
I read that.
And then by going to a meeting and sitting down during departmental reports and responding again, which was also reported by me in the Kansan.
Read that.
So she chose to do it that direction, and that's kind of when, I mean, she put them all on blast. Here's the Supreme Court decision. You have no authority here, and I'm going to resubmit this, which she did. And then they couldn't figure out if they were really legally obligated to pay this or not. So they consulted with the county attorney, and then on Tuesday they consulted with the county attorney again prior to the payment of the warrant checks. Now, this is why I say we all know what was going on in that executive session for two reasons. Number one, the timing. They called for the executive session right before they approved the warrant checks. And two, I watched through the window as one of our commissioners went and picked up a sheet of paper, read through it with our county attorney, then proceeded to sit down and read from that sheet of paper, and it was a motion. I mean, that's how these things can work. So the motion was to go ahead and pay the withheld check, authorize the withheld check to be issued, and that there would be further review of all of those expenses at a later date.
Which still doesn't change. I mean, I gotta go back to this.
So it puts it put it to bed while it didn't.
Okay, I gotta say this. This is what you said. This is just okay. Let me choose my words carefully here. Okay, I'm remembering a not so long ago situation where a Harvey County Commissioner decided that they wanted to go to another state for another conference.
Yes.
And they spent triple, if not more.
Well, that's $600. Well, but to be fair, this conference in Philadelphia cost a heck of a lot more than $200.
But once again, let's talk about just the reimbursement.
This was just the most recent check that triggered everybody's alarms.
Okay, so but still on this.
So yes, they spent about $600 going to a conference. When they got back, they decided that they believed it was useful enough to themselves as a commissioner and to the commission as a whole that they should be reimbursed for that. They submitted the reimbursement. The debate was had, and it was more than one meeting's worth, and the commission chose to pay it. So that's the deal.
Okay. So let's talk about.
I mean, she should have, and this was, and it was openly discussed during that process that the approval for funds and the request for funds probably should have come before the meeting rather than after. That was the desire of the commission. As we all know, commissions change. That commission has new members on it since that occurred. But that was the expressed desire that from now on, commissioners would run these things by each other before they went.
Okay, so
let's just let that dog lie down. It's sleeping and it needs to just sleep.
Yeah, it is what it is. Can't do anything about it. It's like buyer's remorse of electing people that you thought were going to be good people to be elect, and then they turned out to be just a.
Everybody's learning as they go.
Okay, yeah, that's a nice way to say it.
No, and that's the case.
Yeah, Chad, when are we going to stop?
When's the last time? I can tell you. When's the last time we were able to elect a county commissioner that had significant experience that they could hit the ground really running?
I realize there's a learning curve, okay? But it also comes down to us constantly trying to elect somebody based upon a 1 or a 2 issue situation.
Sure.
They have absolutely no idea what they're doing. They have not done the research necessary. They beat this drum, and then it becomes a smear campaign.
Yep, we're going to have the opportunity to do that again.
Somebody else. Don't elect this person. Elect me. I'm not going to let this one issue get by. And then we realize even then that when they do what they do, it just ties hands for any kind of future development because it was all very, very short-sighted. So at what, and then we do this hide behind something. Don't put ourselves out here. Nobody really knows. Look at me in front of an American flag with my picture. It's like, when is the electorate going to get smarter here? I mean, we're 2 months.
Oh, it's not going to.
It has to, Chad, or we're doomed.
It's not going to.
We're doomed.
It's not going to.
Okay, not to get negative, but I mean,
it was never intended.
Trying to choose my words carefully.
It was never.
Try not to get upset here.
It was never intended to be It was never intended to be a documentary. But folks, I challenge every one of you to go search out the movie Idiocracy. Watch it. And tell me you don't see signs of that all over us right now.
Chad. Okay.
There's a short for you on YouTube, right?
I tell you.
I'm telling you. You want to hear?
I'm trying to mature here, Chad, and you're not helping me out because you know how passionate I am about all this stuff. How many times I ran for election?
I want to run down a rabbit trail right here and right now. So, sorry.
Shoot.
Got a breath. Okay.
Don't say anything offensive.
No, I'm not. It's just
don't have an opinion.
Okay. So, when they were wanting to make that movie, one of the things they wanted to do was they wanted to outfit people in costume and dress that relayed the idea that we're just all stupid. All of these people were just stupid. Do you know what they did? They went out looking for a shoe company that they thought was going to fail, and went out looking for the most ridiculous shoes they could find. You know what those shoes were?
I don't, Chad.
Crocs. How many pair do you own, Lance?
I don't know any.
Me neither. But how many pairs you see out in the wild? It's nonstop. And you just sit there and go, folks.
I thought you were going to say something else.
Oh, come on. It's like,
oh my goodness.
Let's just keep moving.
Yeah.
Let's just keep moving closer and closer to Idiocracy.
Well, and I got to say this. Okay, so knowing that we're just over 2 months, just over 2 months from election time.
Yes.
One thing that's always bothered me that I'm so passionate about. If anybody wants to know what makes me tick, it's why I ran for election. It wasn't so I could get elected, get paid nothing, and take the grill from every single individual. It was because I truly believe in the process. I believe we need to have a people elected to that position that genuinely care and have some wherewithal to be able to make educated, informed decisions, doesn't have an axe to grind, is not so short-sighted that we're just gonna ban, and then that creates a situation of problems in the future because you're cutting, I mean, it goes back to what we were just talking about. Technology is moving so fast.
Yes.
So if today we say, well, okay, everybody knows how I felt about on the wind turbines. We're going to put a moratorium out there. We're going to ban wind turbines. That's great, except for the fact that maybe 5 years from now, okay, they might have wind turbines that are half as tall or a third the size that produce 5 times the electricity. And then they decide, we're going to do that out of hemp. We're going to make it out of hemp. And so then all of a sudden, when we talk about something being able to be environmentally friendly, or whatever the case may be, we're just totally taking away the ability for there to be any forward progression through technology because we can't see anything in the future. It's like, okay.
Yeah, a press release came to my desk yesterday afternoon. I'm not going to tell you which U.S. senator sent it to me. But I was just like, what, are you kidding me? So this particular senator from Kansas is now stumping on the Hill for a new law that will prevent farmland from being sold for solar farms.
You don't have that. The government does not have that right. It's my land, and I want to be able to put solar panels on my property.
This same senator will talk to you until he's blue in the face about local control,
individual property rights,
Fighting for the farmer. I sit there and I go, really?
Let's say you are out in Western Kansas, okay, where predominantly speaking, there is a huge vein. I know, I came from there, where about the only thing that you would hopefully be able to get some kind of yield when it comes to a crop, it's a dryland crop, is wheat. Okay, that's if it's farmable ground. If it's not farmable ground and it's canyons and pasture, all right, which in some instances, that's cattle country out there. We don't want to minimize the amount of farm acreage that cattle can graze on it, but you take grazing land out there in western Kansas, the amount of head of cattle you can run on that will provide nutrients for it is not as much as maybe in like Harvey County or someplace in the central area of Kansas and even farther west. Okay, so we talk about sustainability. If I'm only going to make $1,000 or $2,000 over the course of the year off of 20 acres, okay, and that's just a rough thing here, okay? Farmers would know more than me. I'm not a farmer. Just have farm blood in my veins, if you want to call it that. So then if I decide I've got this pasture, it's not really all that good for grazing. It would cost me an insane amount of money to be able to turn that over into tillable ground in the event that I could plant something. So I'm looking at maybe 2 or 3 years down the road. Even then, out in western Kansas, there's places where you can only, you got 10 acres. Well, you're only going to be able to plant wheat on 5 of that acres this year, and then you're going to have to let that be dormant next year and plant it on this 5 acres. Okay, so 15 acres, I decide I'm going to make a deal with a solar company that's going to come out, that's going to put solar panels on my property, and I'm going to be able to make X amount of dollars per acre more than what I would with least amount of risk. Why can't I do that, Chad? Because you're against it? Because the senator thinks that he's doing somebody a favor by coming out and putting an all-out moratorium to restrict my rights as a property owner to be able to do what I want with it?
The short answer is
I'm fired up today.
I got you.
You got me in a mood.
Nope.
Politics, I swear.
Hey.
It's all politics, folks.
Job well done.
Yes.
Job well done.
You did it. And Andy's not here to control me.
No, your short answer to that question is that we're attempting to protect tillable ground. And we're also trying to make sure that the ground is owned by us and not China. There's your short answer.
Okay. Now does it specifically say tillable ground? Because then what does that mean? What investment does that mean for the farmer? Does it mean that this ground could be turned over, which takes a couple of years process to be able to complete?
No problem with those goals. I do question the methods in which we're going to try and get there. And if to get there, we're going to look at a local farmer and say, no, you can't do that. I mean, shoot, I'll use Rod Lowe as an example. I have a really hard time with anybody looking at him and saying, nah, you can't do that with your land. I don't care that it's been in your family since 1872. You just can't do that. And if now after literally decades, almost 100 years, he's able to plant a crop that's actually going to make him money, I got a real problem with anybody setting foot out there and saying, no, you can't do that. Now, do I think he should be able to grow full-blown marijuana? No. That shit's illegal, and it's illegal for a reason.
No, yeah.
But if he wants to, because he's only got about 500 acres or so, and he wants to cry uncle and say, this just isn't going to work anymore. I wonder if the rural cooperative for electricity wants a solar. If they want that 70 acres for solar, and what will they pay me? Bring it on. Okay? Is why I'm so frustrated with the final decisions that were made during our wind energy debate. Because guess what? We've got a county moratorium on solar. Commercial solar. He can still build it on his barn and use it for himself, but he can't sell it to anybody. I got a problem with that.
I get okay.
And that's why I have a problem with this little press release that I got yesterday. It's like, whoa, I get it. You're campaigning already. I get it. But I got news for all of our senators and representatives from Kansas. They have bigger concerns. Big, huge concerns when it comes to the 2026 elections, and solar energy and protection of tillable ground. That ain't it.
I got something I want to talk about, and I think that we can get there because I want to cover local stuff, but I think this is local, and I think that what we're talking about in government and everything else. Have you seen lately the statistics that are coming out on home ownership, Chad?
Which ones?
The ones that say, if you're a millennial, good luck buying a house. Good luck owning a house.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I was reading something today. I'm going to pull this up on my phone.
I have a millennial nephew that wants desperately to buy a house and marry his girlfriend. But he can't.
Okay.
He can't. Financially speaking, there's no way he can make that happen. And this kid has a really good job. He's probably making more than me.
Yeah, here it is. A home buyer must now earn $114,627 a year to afford the median priced U.S. home per Redfin. This means the average U.S. household income, $78,000 per Census.gov 2023, would require a 47% raise to afford the median home. Home ownership is over. What was the American dream, Chad?
That's the American dream.
To own a home, to own your own home.
The American dream is to get yourself a good, decent job that pays well, buy a house, and live comfortably.
And you got to have a 20% down payment.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So if you want to solve some kind of issue here, okay, if you really want to focus on how you help people, we need to start turning it internally. My opinion solely when it comes to politics, and of course, hey, unelectable guy here. We need to focus on things like home ownership. We need to focus on things like education. We need to focus on things like healthcare. We need to focus on things like pre-K education. We need to focus on things like, it being more affordable to go buy groceries at the grocery store. We need to be focusing on how to help the American people. How are we going to help the American people? And nothing's changed. Maybe it will in the future. I don't know. Maybe some of the moves, the chess moves that are happening right now with tariffs and everything else will come to fruition, which is better for us. But I think that our government has left us behind, man.
And
My opinion.
And anybody who looks at that big, beautiful bill and can't see that they have absolutely left us all for dead, you better wake up.
We can't get into that, Chad. Can't get into the big, beautiful bill and Trump and all this. Yeah,
because the math don't math.
Politics.
The math don't math. Okay?
You can't tell me that people are not in despair. That people are not getting desperate.
And this is what is keeping myself and a whole lot of other people up at night. Thanks for that extra $1,500 tax credit that I'm going to get because you added to the child tax credits under the big beautiful bill. That's awesome. Thanks for that tax cut. It's $1,500. But guess what? If my wife loses her health insurance and my kids lose theirs, that's going to cost me around $15,000 to $20,000 in a year, which is going to happen as a result of the big beautiful bill. So thanks for the tax cut. I'd sure like to know where I'm going to come up with that 20 grand.
We got to be the average folks, man. You cannot tell me,
I am so tired of the nonsense.
You cannot tell me that the majority of people with children, okay, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I live in a bubble, okay, whatever the case may be. But that the middle class is pretty much non-existent anymore. Everything has continued to go up and up and up. I said I'd do this. I got to do this. We are coming to the end of the program, so
that's
a couple
fine.
things here locally. But I Conklin Cars in Newton. Okay, I talked about a few weeks back that I had some vehicle trouble. We all have vehicle trouble. I took my vehicle out to Conklin because they've done me right on numerous occasions. It took them a little bit of time, but they figured out the problem and they fixed the problem. And they really worked with me because it was supposed to be X amount of dollars, but because it literally took a few weeks, and I mean, it took a few weeks to work out this problem because of the way vehicles are today and things out of their control and things out of my control and et cetera, et cetera. They're like, you know what? We're going to provide you with a little bit of discount, because we understand. I thought, my goodness, you not only fix my car, but you provide me a discount. You provided me service. They wanted to work with me, and they called, they cared, they explained, they were there, customer service was there. And then in the end, I decided, you know what? I'm a car heavy. I'd like to sell my car. Went out there. They told me a trade-in value. And I said, well, I don't really want to trade in. I mean, I'd like to have that Ford Mustang GT over there, but that's a $62,000 car. So I'm not in a situation. Think about that, $60,000 for a vehicle, folks. It's not. People are. The next thing to go. That's more than
a lot of people paid for their houses.
Is buying a new vehicle. And so then here's what happens, right? Then used vehicles become in demand. Then used vehicles cost more, but all the same. They offered me a fair price for my vehicle. I didn't even know that Conklin just buys vehicles outright. They bought my vehicle outright at a fair price. So I would say I give them a 5 out of 5 stars. If you are looking for a mechanic or a place to go, I can't say that everybody's experience is the same, but I will say that my experience was above par, and I appreciate you. Sending a shout out to Conklin Cars, all the people there from the top to the bottom. You guys are solid. All right, Chad. I don't know. I guess maybe that could have been my final word, but I got a final word left to say. It seems like the hour was too short today for you and I, but we got to talking politics, and of course nobody wants to talk politics, but they all want to put their message forth, and they all want to believe what they wanted to believe, and they all listen to these echo chambers, and they all have confirmation bias, and we're in a situation where just wanting to get some good people elected, and I'm already starting to see the same cycle happen again. And I also know that I see the same product over and over and over again from the same cycle over and over and over and over and over and over again. And where I used to be highly critical of the city of Newton, which is why I ran, I'd say that there's been a lot of change that's happened there in the benefit, for the good, absolutely. Okay, final word, Chad. What do you got?
Final word. I don't know what I got.
You want me to go first?
Nope. Here's. Let me do this. Okay. I for the last couple years have offered to be a part of the Railway meetings at Newton High School. I figure if I'm going to have to sit through them, maybe I can add to them. And this is what I would say if they would actually let me do that. Okay, here it is. So my name's Chad, and the reason I'm standing in front of you today is because I am a juvenile intake worker, and we operate under the Community Corrections banner. So if I call you late at night, it's because I've got your kid in the office in the basement of the law enforcement center, and your kid needs you. Okay? It's not about what they did. It's not about how they got there. It's that your kid needs you. Your kid needs you to come pick them up, and your kid needs you to start being their parent. That's what they need. Not my job to be their parent. I got 3 kids that I'm parenting on my own. It's not your job to be my kid's parent, and it's not my job to be your kid's parent. So they just come, start dealing with the situation, and be the parent if I call. And I guarantee, and this is the Railway part, I guarantee you would much rather have your kid's coach, your kid's teacher, or your kid's principal dealing with this issue than you would me. Because your kid's coach, teacher, and principal is not filling out a detention assessment. And that's what I'm doing. Let's not let anything build to the point where I have to send them away. The average stay in Hutchinson is 25 days. And it costs almost $5,000 in taxpayer money.
And that'll ruin a kid's life. Okay.
There you go.
I was going to say something on a final word, but now because of what Chad said, brought up the Railway, I'm going to say this. If you were somebody, a school board member, elected, not running for school board, who were advocating on behalf of dismantling the Railway, you don't got my vote. Have a good week, everybody.